What's going on there, guys? Earthmaster here, jumping in kind of early afternoon, Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. About 12:30 p.m. my time here in California. It's supposed to be 100 degrees today. Oh, goodness. So anyway, just want to jump on here. I did, regarding all the tremor that's been taking place in the Pacific Northwest, more specifically the Central Oregon area, I emailed a couple people and am waiting back to, or waiting to hear back from them, hoping that they'll give me an answer to my question about what their input is or what they believe's going on there with the persistent tremor in the region. I'll show you right here in the region of the Central Oregon coastline. So that's just going back to the 12th of April. We got almost 10,000 epicenters, and most of it is no doubt confined right there along the Oregon coastline in an area where, like I said, we haven't, in other videos I mentioned how we haven't really seen a tremendous amount of movement in this specific area. But it seems as though now, within the past couple weeks, 3 weeks now, we've seen a heightened, persistent, consistent tremor in this area alone. Yes, we've seen a little bit here, there, and up into parts of Vancouver Island, and even a little bit into Northern California, down at the southern end of the Cascadia, but nothing like we've seen right here in this area of Oregon, central coast of Oregon, not Central Oregon. I've already been corrected numerous times, but central coast of Oregon. And in this map, when you go back to the 12th, it covers almost the entire western side of Oregon there along the coastline. So something going on, something big. I haven't seen this in the years that I've been monitoring the tremor activity here along the Cascadia Subduction Zone. It's just something I haven't seen. And this is, is it concerning? I kind of want to know what's going on. I want a little bit more in-depth detail as to what the top dogs there in the PNSN network and the geologists that work for them up there think about this. What do they believe is going on? Is this a good sign for the West Coast, for the Cascadia? Is this slowly relieving pressure along the lock section of the Cascadia? Or is this indeed applying more pressure upstream in this area where I firmly believe in the future we'll see the next Cascadia rupture here along the just off the coast there of Central Oregon coast. So I'm waiting to see back. I emailed quite a few people in regards to this activity and a couple questions there I asked them. I'll get back to the channel here soon as they email me. But I'm hoping they'll reach out to me and answer my legit questions, because I haven't seen this. If you look at, let's see here, I would have to go back prior to, let's see if we can do this here. Let's go back to let's see if there was anything going on from the 5th to the 10th here of April. Okay, that's right. That's when we started to see that little blob of activity there really ramp up in southern Oregon. And then it pretty much just stretched the entire coastline right here. So I want to get to an area where we haven't. Let's go back to, let's go March 8th through the 14th. And we're still going on. See, this activity has been going on for some time there into southern Oregon, Northern California, and just that entire area up here now. Let's go back, let's see here, I want to see something. 22nd through the 27th of February. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go from the 22nd. Actually, let's go way back here. Let's go back about July 27th of last year. I wonder if it's going to let me. To there we go. To about the 2nd of February, to where it before all this activity had begun. I want to see what it's going to do and what it's going to show here. As I said, there was some activity in Central Oregon, hit and miss activity, but the majority was absent. See, this is that area I'm talking about there, north of Eugene. There's Eugene covered up underneath some of that stuff. But this area is sporadic in nature when it comes to past long-term tremor. It's absent of activity compared to the rest of the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Well defined. Everyone knows about the every 13th or 14th month interval of the ETS episodic tremor activity up in the Seattle area, west of Seattle. That's a big area for tremor in general. And also into parts of southern Oregon, northern California. You see that really well defined, even into the Sacramento Valley, where it kind of stretches, or not stretches, but it does subduct in the parts of northern California right there. Right about the end of the Cascadia, where it sits right about there where the end of that tremor is. But here's the part where in the last 3 weeks we've seen a heightened increase in tremor activity. And it looks like maybe we're finally catching up. We're kind of filling in that void, if you will, of lack of tremor. And I can go back months prior to July 27th of last year, and it will still show that lack of activity. I can go back years and compare that to the rest of the tremor up here to the north of the Cascadia, right here along the Pacific Northwest, and the activity, say, south of Eugene into Northern California. There's always been that void of activity here, and now we're seeing it. We're seeing it fill in, and I want to know what that means for the Cascadia. I think a lot of people want to know. Is this good? Is it bad? Is it finally? In my mind, I have a couple different scenarios. Is it finally, instead of releasing a earthquake here in this area, we're finally seeing a release of pressure through massive amounts of tremor into the Oregon coast area, into this area of the central coast of Oregon. I know Eugene's not into the in the coast range, but it's basically the valley. But it's near the coast. Okay, central. Maybe I should just say west central Oregon. Okay, either way, you folks know what I'm talking about here. So maybe all this tremor is relieving the possibility that there could have been a somewhat deeper earthquake here because of the built-up stress downstream due to the lack of the tremor that's been taking place here, due to the lack of tremor, I should say. In all other areas to the north and south were sliding down, producing tremor, while this area continued to build up strain here. Maybe, I can kind of picture it in my mind of maybe a curving, if you will, curvature or strain in this region. So that's one scenario. Now that maybe with that tremor going on here, we're catching up and everything's gonna be okay. Or are we looking at a further increase in backbuild pressure up here along the lock section of the Cascadia that's producing an enormous amount of strain due to this one specific area seeing a massive amount of tremor? Is pressure so great out here along the west coast or the Oregon coastline that we're getting that huge buildup of pressure along the lock section? I don't know. It's hard. When I look back at the earthquake activity, well, let's see here. Let's go over the USGS map here. I'm just kind of doing a little. I kind of got sidetracked today. I just kind of focused on the tremor activity today. I just kind of want to go that route. Let's go with the I guess we can do 30 days, 2.5 and above for this area of the Pacific Northwest. Okay, now while the Blanco fracture zones have different tectonic plate structures, right, far as movement goes, Missy Mimi's covered this pretty good in an update video a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago. I can't remember. My time's been all messed up lately. But there was quite a few fives out here, right? Quite a few fives off the coast of Oregon. Cascadia Subduction Zone sits over here. Now, with the plate dynamics right here, are we looking at those fives that we've seen? Releasing pressure in this area, or adding pressure to the areas to the east here? So the Blanca fracture zone, you do get areas. Let me see if I can hold on one second here, folks. Let me switch back over here to something, and I'm gonna show you guys. Let's see here. Wasn't really gonna show this picture, but I kind of want to show it to you guys so you can see a little bit of the dynamics of what's going on here. Okay, let me bring you guys back here real quick. Okay, here's just a couple examples of the dynamics of the plate movement in general with the Blanco fracture zone, kind of in that area where we've seen that movement here. Let me back out here a little bit. You got the Gorda Escarpment down here. Okay, you guys see that? So right about here in this area, let me see if it's going to let me click on it. Okay, that'll work. Right about in this area here, where those fives took place, we're looking at general movement here to the southeast, if you will, right? That directional of motion of the plate there, of the release of energy. So ultimately, that's headed down towards the lock section of the Cascadia, which is this cold front looking system. If you're familiar with weather systems, it kind of looks like a cold front in a way. But that's where the subduction zone starts. That's where it starts to subduct. Okay, so you got the general motion of the plate there headed down in that area where all those fives were kind of pushing down there. And the Gorda plate deformation, this area generally goes to the southeast as well. This whole plate system, if you look, you got the rift over here, the separation of the plate here. So this whole section kind of moves in that direction, the Juan de Fuca plate, if you will, and that's where you get the subduction zone right here along this cold front looking system. So it's hard to, I'm thinking with all those fives that we've seen a few days ago and the general activity prior to that and afterwards, if anything, we're looking at a heightened increase in pressure along this area of the Cascadia. Okay, and I guess you could call it the, the southern portion of the Cascadia Subduction Zone. And therefore, I believe that the tremor that we're seeing is due to those fives and whatnot that were taking place off the coast here in the Blanco fracture zone, increasing the dynamic pressure out here in this area of the subduction zone. So therefore, I think, honestly, and I can't wait to see what these guys are going to tell me, that we're looking at a higher probability of pressure being built up here along the lock section. That's what I believe, and that's just my observation and my opinions with what's going on out here. I don't think we're looking at rainbows and unicorns saying, okay, everything's all hunky-dory and everything's just fine now because we're seeing tremor. That's a good sign. We're releasing pressure. Well, we're not. We're seeing all these fives that were taking place. We're seeing all this deep movement into Northern California, all along the southern end of the Cascadia Subduction Zone, into portions of the Gorda Escarpment ridges. A lot of deep movement inland. A lot of pressure being built up here. Down to the south. And obviously there's some more quakes that were taking place here into Oregon and portions of the Cascadia megathrust inland here. Inland, just to the east of the subduction zone. But it's not going to show it because I got 2.5 and above. But let's see if we can get this going here. There's the all magnitudes. I didn't want to crash my computer. So there's a couple earthquakes right there. There's one fairly deep into, and these are just small quakes, 2.0. Fairly deep into the subduction zone area, 15 kilometers downstream. And then all these other plate tectonic deep earthquakes throughout Washington and Oregon that were taking place over the last 30 days. And there's a lot more prior to that. But if you look at the map here, I don't want to get too far south because it's just a clutter down there. And that's typical along a major plate boundary such as that down there. But I'm focusing in on the deep earthquake activity along with the massive amount of tremor that we've seen. I'm all pointing to some highly built up stress in this area of the Cascadia Subduction Zone. So I'm hoping I get a email back from one of the few people that I emailed, and I kind of want to see. I'm waiting on them to send out, or at least to produce a news article, because there's a lot of inquiring minds. They do these little tremor logs, and the last one that I can see here from the PNSN network is the event, the fall event, 2020. Second batch started 2021. That was the events up in the Vancouver Island area. But we really haven't seen anything in regards to the activity in Oregon. And it's just not been a couple days. It's just not been, a week. It's working on, and this is, remember, this map right here is prior to the event when it started there in about middle of February. This is to just show you guys the void of activity that we've seen here in this region in months past and in years past. So now we're catching up. But what does it mean? What exactly does it mean? Let's get back to the map of this is just yesterday's event. But I want to show you guys again. We'll go back to the 12th. And go to today's date. Even though they haven't put in today's tremor, this only will show yesterday's tremor. We'll see what today's is. That void, so to speak, is being filled in enormously, massively, with almost 10,000 tremors since the 12th of April. And it's still continuing as of yesterday. So I want to know, and I kind of want to see if there's any other people out here. I read a lot of the comments. I do. A lot of people put their input, their output, their opinions on on this stuff, and it's good to see what people are thinking, because more than one pair of eyes is better than just me or just one other person. But my thought process is, with the surface quaking going on, the amount of tremor there, the activity throughout the volcanoes here, even though they may not be volcanic in nature, there's still plate tectonic dynamics to the activity in the volcanoes in the Cascade Range. I think we're just looking at quite a bit of pressure, stress being built up out here, folks. Latest earthquake activity today. Is this the all magnitudes? Yes, all magnitudes. You can still see some movement throughout Washington area. It doesn't look like anything specifically at the volcanoes today. And in fact, most of these quakes are very, very shallow. Some of them, well, these are explosions here. I'm not for sure why they got so many explosions going on. What's going on up in Washington, guys? What are you guys doing up there? But yeah, some of these quakes here, like a 1.2 over there near, what is that, Nile, Washington, 0 kilometers. See what this one is here, 4.9 kilometers for that earthquake. It looks like a deeper earthquake up there. Where's this one at? 1.9, 23 kilometers for that deeper earthquake near Seattle. So yeah, I think it honestly has something to do with all the activity or the lack of activity over here on this area of the Pacific Plate. And it's been quiet over here. Quiet in the terms of no major earthquakes, except for that 6.8, right? That was a pretty good sized earthquake. But it's just not as active as I think this area should be. And I don't think we're going to see a release of tremor pressure until we either see a pretty good sized earthquake along the west coast here, and I'm not specifically talking about down south, what the heck's going on there? Where are they blowing up down there around San Diego? Oh, Quarry Blast, okay. So yeah, I'm not talking about this area of the Pacific Plate and North American Plate boundary. I'm more focused on this area here along the Cascadia. Of course, off the coast of Northern California, they can get some pretty good sized earthquakes. And, it doesn't have to be Cascadia related. But it's been a while since we've had a good sized earthquake along the Cascadia, right? Full rupture back in 1700, 9.0 or greater. And it doesn't have to be a full rupture along the Cascadia. We can get easily 8.0, 8.5s that occur on more regular intervals than we do the full rupture, the 9.0s. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking that we could be looking at. Hold on one second here, folks. Let me see if I can find something else here. See what we got. Okay, here's actually another good one. Let me take you back here onto this page. You guys can see what I'm seeing here. So here's a little map from, it looks like OregonLive.com. I'm guessing this is the year 2000, right? Because it says today, but I'm not for sure when this got put out. Let's see if there's a better looking map right here. Maybe this one looks pretty good here. I don't really want to get into all this. Okay, maybe this will work right here. So looks like 2000, back in 2000. Oh no, can you guys see that? These are intervals of earthquake activity in the what they got, last 10,000 years or so on here, looks like. Yeah, 10,000 years. So here's the earthquake of magnitude 8 plus. Fault breaks along southern half of the subduction zone. Southern half is what we've been talking about. Earthquake of magnitude 9.0 or greater. Fault breaks along the entire subduction zone, okay? These are going to be the darker red lines. The 8.0 or greater along the southern end is going to be the smaller lines, okay? So we've had 2 full ruptures of the Cascadia. Last one was 1700, and there was another one before that. It looks like there was a 8.0, a half of a rupture prior to the 2 big ones. So I expect it looks like there was at least one, if not many more, 8.0 or greater southern half of the Cascadia ruptures in between each interval there. Except for this one. Look at that one. That one's pretty close when it comes to that. So I think the possibility of seeing an 8.0 along the southern half of the Cascadia is more realistic. But can't completely rule out, right? Look at those intervals right there. Supposed to be roughly around, what is it, on average 9.0 on average, 500 to 600 years on average. That's only an average. You can't really, you can't really predict it, right? These earthquakes don't seem to occur at predictable intervals. But looking at the time frame there, it's it looks likely, and this is all 2,000 years. We're in the 2021 years, so a lot of time has definitely passed. So we're getting there. We're getting closer day by day, I think, for to see something big happen out here along the West Coast, and hopefully that doesn't trigger the San Andreas Fault as well. You never know. Let's see here. Early warning systems. Yeah, I've heard about that. And if you don't have the early warning system on your phone, I would definitely suggest getting it. So anyway, folks, I hope to hear back from those folks there at the PNSN network and let me know their input on it, what they think's going on. If maybe they could put out an article about it, because it hasn't been just one day, 1 week. It's been almost 3 weeks now, almost a month of just confined activity here along this portion of Oregon, along this section of the Cascadia Subduction Zone, which is the southern half of the Cascadia, where the 8.0 or 8.0 plus could happen. Anyway, folks, I'll be back a little bit later with a complete earthquake update video. For now, what do we got here? 5.4 down here in this area of the world. Kind of some strange activity taking place in this section. We'll take a look at that a little bit later on. But for now, hope everyone's enjoying their evening or afternoon. It's hot. It's very hot outside, so I'm kind of staying cool, just relaxing in the AC. Eating a couple tacos, right? Cinco de Mayo. What better way to celebrate inside air conditioning? Eating a couple tacos. All right. Anyway, guys, have a good day. We'll chat to you a little bit later on the update video. Peace out. Be prepared.